Greetings all. I am Ganesh Singh, Program Manager of the Guyana Council of Organizations for Persons with Disabilities, a member agency of the Commonwealth Disabled People Forum. I will be sharing with you information on inclusive education in Guyana. Before I share what is the current modus operandi as it relates to education for persons with disabilities, I'll provide you with a background. Education for persons or children with disabilities in Guyana started in 1968 when the first segregated school was established, and that was the David Rose Special Education Needs School, as it is now known. Prior to 10 years ago, it was called the David Rose School for the Handicapped. That school was established by the Red Cross and a few other non-governmental organizations in 1968 to provide education for children with varying types of disabilities, mostly children with intellectual and learning disabilities, some children with physical disabilities, children who are deaf, and also children who are blind. There was a classroom for each category of children with disabilities. Education eventually evolved, and in the mid to early 1970s, a classroom for children who are blind and visually impaired was established within a mainstream high school, and that was at the St. Rose's High School, which is one of the top high schools in Guyana. So that was the first step in promoting inclusive education, where children who are blind and visually impaired were able to attend that high school, and also the younger ones, they were able to attend the St. Agnes Primary School, which was in close proximity. Things moved apace, and in the 1980s and 1990s, more special education needs schools were established for children with varying types of disabilities. So it was an approach of segregation where children with disabilities were placed in these special education needs schools. The only children that were mainstreamed, it was children who are blind and visually impaired that lived in Georgetown, Region 4 area, and Region 3. Guyana is broken up into 10 administrative regions. So children in those areas, Georgetown is our capital, they were able to attend mainstream school, that is children who are blind and visually impaired, and they received support from the Resource Unit for the Blind. In 1995, the Wisma Hill Primary School Unit for the Blind was established in Region 10, which is a rural area of Guyana where they had a township. And that was the second initiative to promote mainstream education for children who are blind and visually impaired. Today, as we stand in 2024, a lot more is being done or has been done to ensure that children with disabilities can receive education. We now have approximately 12 special education needs schools, and this is mainly for children with intellectual disabilities, children who are deaf, children with learning disabilities, and children with other neurodiverse disabilities. Children who are blind, they're still able to attend mainstream schools to the most part, mainly in the capital of Georgetown. And in Linden, the unit that was established in 1995, that is now a special education needs resource unit where they accommodate children with all types of disabilities. We have, as I said, approximately 12 special education needs schools, but there are an additional 8 to 10 special education needs resource units. And these resource units are classrooms for children with disabilities that are in mainstream schools. So some of the children are able to attend mainstream classrooms, and that is the current approach to inclusive education. So we have a hybrid approach here in Guyana where some children with disabilities are in a segregated environment in these special education needs schools, and we have some children that attend mainstream schools and are supported by these resource units that are at different locations across Guyana. Over the past 3 to 4 years, we have seen significant development in the promotion of education for children with disabilities. As I said, there are a lot more special education needs resource units. We now have, in the last 2 years, a teacher training program, an associate degree in special education needs, was launched at our teacher training college, the Sir Potter College of Education. So we now have a larger pool of persons capable of teaching children with disabilities. Additionally, through a government online Academy of Learning initiative, approximately 100 teachers were able to complete a bachelor's degree in special education needs from universities in India, and they are now ready to go into the classroom to work with children with disabilities. So that is on the human resource side. But as it relates to the classrooms, we are seeing improvements. We do not have, as yet, a policy to guide special education needs in Guyana, although we have had a draft since 2010, which was further revised in 2021. That has not yet been adopted by our Ministry of Education. However, the Guyana Persons with Disabilities Act, which was signed into law in 2010, is clear as it relates to education for children with disabilities, and that is what guides the Ministry of Education and other stakeholders in the delivery of education for children with disabilities. Additionally, the Ministry of Education would have clearly outlined in their strategic plan the delivery of education for children with disabilities. So in summary, we have a hybrid approach to education for children with disabilities in Guyana, and that is where inclusive education is promoted in mainstream schools, but there is also a segregated approach, and this can be attributed to us being somewhat behind in education for children with disabilities, but we are heading in the right direction with positive developments over the past few years. And we have now a larger pool of teachers to work with children with disabilities. So we are seeing more children with disabilities being afforded an education here in Guyana. Thank you.